Mr. Brooks, I will be asking you a couple of questions. I do need a response. I am unmuting you. Do you have any other witnesses other than yourself available at the courthouse to call this morning, meaning now?
This is the jurisdictional challenge right here. So are you going to address subject matter jurisdiction and prove it for the record or not?
Darrell Brooks Jr.'s jurisdictional argument is tantamount to talking into a dead phone. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Everything Else Channel on YouTube, everythingelsechannel.com. We are at 830 subs. Can you believe it? We got to get to 1,000. So if you haven't subbed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please ring the bell for notifications. And also there's a button down here that you can just hover over. It's not going to stop the video. It's not going to take you somewhere else. You just hover over it and subscribe. Also, guys, please, if you like the video at any point in time, give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And finally, please leave a comment down below. Your comments inspire me to make new videos, but they also give me different perspectives on things that I think I know everything about, but I don't, because we don't always know everything, right? We don't hardly ever know everything. The more perspectives we have, the better outlook that we get in the long run. You know, at least that's the hope. Some people, unfortunately, you can't tell them anything. And Darrell Brooks Jr. is probably one of those people. But in any event, the jurisdictional challenge is something that I think he's still probably, you know, racking his brains over in his pod or in his cell or whatever it may be. But the reality of the matter is the court was very clear from the get-go, from the very, very first time he introduced it. And he could have filed for an interlocutory appeal, but he never did, because I don't think that he really truly thought that it was an issue. I think that it was just a way for him to stall the process, a way for him to derail the proceedings, antagonize the judge, frustrate the prosecution team, confuse witnesses. It was not about whether or not the court actually had jurisdiction or not. Just like when he would ask, is this military power? I mean, come on, are you being court-martialed? You know, where's the plaintiff? Have you ever met the plaintiff? Is the plaintiff a person? I'm not a person, I'm a human being. These are just tactics that he used to stall, derail, frustrate, antagonize. But if he really truly cared about whether or not the court had jurisdiction, why didn't he ever do the interlocutory appeal? He could have done pretty much anything he wanted. Nobody can say that he didn't have resources, because he had the world at his fingertips. He could have done anything from expert witnesses to interlocutory appeals, because money was not an issue. Because you know who was paying for it all, right? Not Darrell, not Dawn, not the roommate out west. Us, the taxpayers. So when the taxpayers pay, who cares? We're going to be supporting Darrell Brooks Jr. for the rest of his life. He's not going to sleep in a van out in mom's parking lot or whatever. He's going to get a cell, 3 hots. He's going to get a cot. He's going to get gym time. If he's got, you know, mental health issues, which he does, he's going to get to see a therapist and get medications. He's never going to have to worry about health insurance or keeping the lights on. He's going to have it made. I mean, he's not going to be able to be with women, I don't think, but you never know, because you hear about these stories all the time about the nurse or some, you know, female CO or something. You know, you hear about it. I don't want to disparage COs or nurses, but it happens. A few bad apples ruin the bunch. But here's the deal. It happens. And, you know, again, look, we've talked about Bundy. We've talked about Gacy. We've talked about Ramirez. Serial killers get a lot of groupies. So, you know, as crazy as that sounds, maybe a guy that killed half a dozen people and injured 80 and you know, with a car, that put out, you know, crappy rap songs and you know, was part of one of the most televised trials in, you know, in history. You never know. Maybe that's considered a superstar by some people. I don't know. I think it's disgusting, but I also think it's disgusting that a woman married Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Or actually it wasn't. No, I'm thinking of, I don't want to say her name because she's a writer, but she married the Gainesville Ripper, which was Danny Rawlings. She married him. This is a guy that murdered 5 college students at the University of Florida that I went to in the early 1990s. And when he was already on death row, a writer married him and then went on all the talk shows and wrote a bunch of books. And they tried to use the Son of Sam laws against her so she couldn't profit. But like I said, but with that exception, you know, he's going to have it made at our expense. So Sorry for that huge tangent. But the reality of the matter is that he never pursued an interlocutory appeal. He never even initiated the process. So to me, he never really cared about subject matter jurisdiction. It was just a ploy to try to derail the process. But I will tell you something else. I will tell you something else about Darrell Brooks Jr. that really I don't understand. And maybe you do. But it was so personal with him, with Judge Doro. And I made a video. I don't know if it was here for Everything Else channel or if it was for Sight, Sounds, and Flavors. But a lot of people were very uncomfortable, are very uncomfortable watching trial footage at just how personal he tried to get with Judge Doro. And it was just, for a lot of people, very unsettling. And for this particular clip, you'll notice that he's not, or if you go back to the beginning, you'll notice that he wasn't in the courtroom with prosecution team and court staff and the judge. He was at that other court, and it was just down the hall. And that's where they would send him when he would do, multiple disruptions and yell and do stare downs and basically everything that we know to be Darrell Brooks Jr. But what I thought was really good on Judge Doro, and I give her a 97%. I think Judge Doro did a fantastic job. I give her a 97%. People hate the fact that I keep repeating that, but I have to repeat it. See, guys, I don't do things to antagonize people. I want you to come back. I want you to subscribe. I want you to leave comments. I want you to give thumbs up. I don't want to antagonize you. But then there's other people that say that I don't like Judge Doro, that I'm unfair to her, that, and so I can't sit for that, because if I give you a 97%, I'm not giving you 100, no, because I'm not going to give you a perfect score if you don't deserve it. But a 97, my gosh, a 97 that's amazing. But yet I have these people that say that, I'm too hard on her. In any event, I like when Judge Doro put Darrell Brooks Jr. in his place. When he would do 25, 26, 27 interruptions in one day, there's no reason why he should have been in that courtroom. Send him to the other courtroom and mute him when he gets, crazy. Because, it's one thing to not want to give a pro se defendant, the grounds for an appeal. It's one thing not to want to look biased. Although I think that you may disagree, but I think that Judge Doro was very much aware this was going to be a highly televised, highly discussed trial. And I think that may have factored into how much abuse she took from Darrell Brooks Jr. I would like to know what you think on that. And I also think secondarily, these are both secondary points, that maybe her run for Supreme Court factored in. I'm not saying into her ruling, final ruling or ruling on evidence or discovery. I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm just saying, did it factor in? How could it not have factored in? And finally, though, I will just say that the times that she sent him to the other courtroom, that she muted him, I think it had an effect on him. And I think when he came back, he was better, but only temporarily, because his whole thing was to create chaos. And the subject matter jurisdiction objection was probably one of the strongest instances of that. Questioning the court's jurisdiction. Is this military power? Is this admiralty court? You're not going to, it's a rush to judgment. It was not about whether or not, in my opinion, again, question to you, it was not about whether or not the court actually had jurisdictional power, but more so about him derailing the process. You got to figure, even though maybe a small part of him thought he was going to get acquitted, I think the common sense part of Darrell Brooks knew that he was done. And so he was going to milk it for everything it was worth. He was going to antagonize people, upset people, push people's buttons as much as he could. And I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what motivated him. But that's exactly what he did. So again, the jurisdictional challenge to me was nothing more than Darrell Brooks Jr. just trying to cause some. But again, I invite you to leave your comments. Again, guys, 830 subs. We're so close to that 1,000 mark. Please subscribe. Hover over the button down here. If not, ring the bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up. And please leave a comment down below, guys. Thank you so much for watching Everything Else Channel here on YouTube, everythingelseChannel.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to the bigger channel, Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. Thank you.